What's up guys, I'm Dean and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing another one of my movie diaries. I've done so many of these now. I've done so many that I've lost count of how many I've done, and I could go back and count how many I've done, but I'm known for a certain level of unprofessionality, so unprofessionality. Anyway, this has already gone off the rails. In one of these, I talk about every single movie I watched in the previous month and give you my brief thoughts on it and a score out of 5 if I remember to give it a score out of 5, because sometimes I forget to give it a score out of 5 because of the before mentioned unprofessionality, which is a word I made up. Anyway, I watched a lot of movies this month and I don't have a specific number, and normally I do, so I will count that. I'm not going to be that unprofessionality. I watched 18 movies, which is around average. I don't know what my average is because this is so off the rails. I feel like starting again, but I'm just going to push forward. Let's talk about every movie I watched in the month of October. Ooh, spooky times. I watched very little horror. Sorry about that intro. Okay, the first movie I watched this month was Jake Gyllenhaal's The Guilty, the remake of the, I think it's Swedish or some kind of Scandinavian foreign film. And I did really enjoy this movie. I'm going to be completely honest, I didn't realise it was a remake until partway through watching it, and that did annoy me. The fact that this movie is a remake annoys me because it's pointless and it doesn't need to be it doesn't need to exist. But that being said, it's good. I really enjoyed it. I think Jake Gyllenhaal has a great performance. I think there's genuine moments of terror and there's a good twist, and I think that there's such intelligence behind the writing or the stealing of the writing from the original, and I thought it was really good, so I gave it 4 stars. The second movie I watched was The Artist, which was definitely interesting. It had a really interesting concept and really, really cool kind of psychedelic moments. If you don't know, this movie came out 2012, I think, 2011, and it's full black and white, and it's kind of about the transition of silent movies to talkies, because this movie is a silent movie as well. And this concept is really interesting. And like I said, there's some amazing concepts and there's some amazing moments, stuff like that. But overall, it does leave quite a bit to be desired, in my opinion. And for these reasons, I gave it 3.5 stars. The next movie I watched was a Christopher Nolan movie, The Prestige. Now, I've said for a while that I think Christopher Nolan is overrated, but do I think this movie is bad? No, I don't think it's bad. I think there's definitely some very interesting elements to it, and I think it's got good twists and good casting and really good character moments, but just, I'm not sure what it is. Something is left to be desired, so it's not amazing. I did give it 3.5 stars. I did really enjoy it, and I did talk about this on my podcast with a guest, Joey Faber. I'm sorry, Joey. I still don't know how to pronounce your name, even though we talked about Spider-Man together for an hour. Anyway, the link is up there. Did I get it right this time? I did. So go check that out. Thanks. I then watched a new movie, No Time to Die. Now, where to get started on this movie? Because a lot of people I know personally, who are massive James Bond fans, have problems with this movie, and I completely understand these problems, but I don't feel the same way. I really enjoyed No Time to Die. Yes, it's bloated. Yes, Rami Malek as a villain didn't work, and yes, it didn't feel very Bond. But to me, Bond is a series that just steals from other not steals, but just copies from other franchises like Jason Bourne or The Dark Knight or now Mission Impossible. So I think those elements do work. So I gave it 4 stars. I then watched The Big Lebowski. What a brilliant movie. It is incredibly funny. It's intelligent, and there's such intelligence behind the cinematography and the lighting and the jokes and the acting. It all blends together perfectly. This is truly an amazing movie, that it can be so light and fun and silly while still tackling such massive themes as money and wealth and gender roles and friendship and sex. It does all this perfectly. I love The Big Lebowski. 5 stars. I then watched No Time to Die. I definitely did like it a little bit less on the rewatch, but not that much less. I think the action is incredible. I think there are so many superb moments in it, and overall I still really, really enjoyed it. It is a long movie, but it doesn't feel long when you're watching it as well. I think that's a great bonus of this movie, so I still gave it 4 stars. I then watched Halloween, the original. I'd never seen it before, and I did enjoy it. I think it did a brilliant job of building tension throughout the mundanity, but I think it might have taken the mundanity a bit too far, and at times it did feel a bit just too long and a bit bloated. But I don't dislike this movie at all. I think it was wonderful. I do think it's a masterpiece, and I think there's a reason why it's a classic. Just for me, I don't know what I'm doing with my hands. It didn't age incredibly well. I'm sorry, please don't hurt me. I gave it 3.5 stars. Thank you. Okay, let's move on. I say let's move on. We're going to move on to something also controversial. Les Mis the musical. I adore it. This is just because of my intrinsic love for the stage musical. I've seen the stage musical, and it is my favourite stage musical of all time. On the West End, it is incredible. I would recommend it because it is truly one of my favourite just works of fiction ever. I think it is incredible, and the musical does a good job with translating this to the screen. I do understand people's problems with it. But I think it is well performed. I think the entire cast is stellar. Anne Hathaway, Hugh Jackman, Russell Crowe are standouts for me. All the songs are, of course, incredibly powerful. And Jean Valjean and Javert are two of my favourite hero-villain rivalries or relationships, I suppose, ever. I think these two work so well together. They're like on par with Joker and Batman. That sounds so dumb to say, but I really think that there's truly incredible moments between the two of them. And this film is shot so interestingly. They do such interesting things with the cinematography if you pay attention to it, which kind of make it feel more like a stage show, and I really enjoy those elements of it. And of course, all the set design and everything like that is truly incredible. I really do like this musical. 4.5 stars. I'm sorry, okay? Just let me live my life. I'm sorry, I shouldn't have raised my voice at you. I appreciate that you're watching this video. Please remember to like, comment, and or subscribe. Okay, on to something that isn't controversial, an absolute classic, Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window. If you haven't watched this movie, this is the one movie of the month that I'm going to recommend. That's a good idea. It is perhaps my favourite murder mystery ever, because the murder mystery isn't even... It is the focus of this movie, but to me it isn't the best part. The best part of this movie for me is the romantic subplot, and I think that intertwines with everything else that goes on in this movie so incredibly. This movie is built upon such a brilliant premise, and I think it pulls it off incredibly. I think the cast does a great job, but it's really just the set design and the mise en scène and just the lighting and all that kind of stuff works so well in this movie. I would really recommend it. 5 stars. I think it is an incredible murder mystery. Just great movie after great movie after great movie after great movie. I then watched Ridley Scott's new movie, The Last Duel, and I fell in love with this movie to begin with. I was a bit like, I don't know if I like this, but it truly was a spectacular watch. And if you haven't seen it, I would really recommend it. It's a spectacular watch, but I hated watching it. This movie did bring me to tears, and just because parts of it are absolutely horrific. It tells the story in a way that usually I would find quite annoying, and I think would wear thin usually. But in this movie, I think the narrative device they used worked excellently and didn't grow old for me at all. And I think the 3 performances might be part of the reason for that. Matt Damon, Ben Affleck, and especially Jodie Comer. I think they did an amazing job. And this movie is horrible, and I don't like it. But I loved it. 4.5 stars. It might be my favourite movie of the year so far. It really moved me, and I was just sitting there in shock for quite a while afterwards. It was really something special. Okay, now breaking the great streak, we are now on to Venom: Let There Be Carnage. This movie is fine. It's pretty good. It's what it's supposed to be. It's carnage. I really think if this movie was 2 hours long instead of the 90 minutes it is, I would despise it. But because it just goes one thing, you don't get any time to think about how dumb this movie is, and you can kind of just breeze through and enjoy this movie, and I think that kind of worked. I'm still not a massive fan of the Venom-Eddie relationship, but I did enjoy the Cletus Cassidy performance in this movie by Woody Harrelson. I think that worked well, and I did think there were some very strong elements, and I think this is superior to the first Venom movie. I gave it 3 stars. I don't know why I started speaking like this. Okay, I'm sorry. Onto something controversial this time. Dune, 2021. Denis Villeneuve. I did like this movie. I've done a full review. So if you want to know my full thoughts, please go watch that. But I did really like this movie. Just for me, on the first watch, I was left really unsatisfied by the ending, and I spoke about this in quite some length in my review, so I won't go into all the details here. But I thought it was overstuffed, and that element of it didn't work for me. I think the performances were great. I wasn't in love with any of the characters apart from maybe Jason Momoa's and Oscar Isaac, but that's not because of the performance. Did you see that guy? Whoo! Anyway, yeah. So it was kind of, the music was incredible. The just the cinematography and the look of this movie was incredible. The world building was phenomenal, but for me, just the pacing and the ending didn't work on the first watch. I'm sorry to have said that. I still gave it 3.5 stars because I liked it. I thought it was very good, and I'm still looking forward to the second one. Okay, then I watched X-Men Origins Wolverine, a truly irredeemable movie for me. There are definitely some good elements to it. The opening is incredible, but it's kind of wasted when you look at the rest of the movie. The writing is terrible. None of the characters work. It doesn't make any sense. The villain is awful. There's an awful, just fake wife. I did talk about this in my podcast, The Silver Lining, when we talk about the good and we talk about the bad, and then we improve the movie. The link is up there. I don't need to check this time. This is a little thing from the microphone that I'm fiddling with in my hand. I hope I can find that later. Yeah, this movie is bad. 1 star. Let's move on. I then watched another classic, Written on the Wind, and it was good. It was a melodrama, and it worked as that. I think the characters were definitely interesting, and it was doing something interesting with gender roles, considering the era this movie was made in, and I enjoyed that. And I think there was some definitely great mise-en-scène. I think great set design and outfits and colours, that all worked incredibly in this, and I did enjoy it. I think it's an interesting movie, definitely a melodrama, and it's definitely an interesting watch. I would say 3.5 stars. But on to the real classics. Forget Rear Window, forget whatever other classic movie I've talked about today. Mamma Mia. If you do not enjoy this movie, my friends, then I do not enjoy you as a person. This movie is just pure, unadulterated fun. The music, ABBA, is perfect as always. And the plot is funny. I always really enjoy the 3 dads. I think they all bounce off each other amazingly. They're all nice people. I think this could have gone a much different path with these 3 dads, but I think the casting was stellar. Stellan Skarsgård. Sorry for that joke. But the 3 dads are great. I love the daughter-mother relationship as well. And just so much of this movie is just pure, refined fun. And I think if you don't like this movie, get off your high horse and try and have fun once in a while. Okay? 4.5 stars. Thank you. I can't click. Fun fact about Dean is that he can't click. Chronicle. I watched so many good movies this month. I talked about it on my podcast up there with Sir Superhero and, of course, Fluffy Duffy, my co-host. And it was a really fun movie. Fun isn't the right word. It's a found footage superhero movie, but not only that, it is the most pure villain-led superhero movie I've ever seen, because it tells the conventional story of a comic book movie, but from the villain's perspective, and it doesn't stray away from that, and that I really loved. It had great performances all around and great writing. The found footage element of it didn't wear thin like it so usually does in movies like that, and just all round, I enjoyed it. Great stuff, and I gave it 4.5 stars. One of my favourite superhero movies ever, probably like top 10 maybe top 15, but probably top 10. I would definitely recommend it if you haven't seen it. Okay, my penultimate movie is a movie I had already seen this month, and that is Dune. On the second watch, this is what you guys have been waiting for. This is when I disagree with what I said in the original review I posted. I think the ending worked, but I didn't enjoy this movie anymore because I think the reason I was left unsatisfied by the ending in my first watch is because the pacing is worse than I thought. I think the pacing in this movie really leaves a lot to be desired. It spends too much time on some things and then just quickly brushes over other things, which I really don't appreciate about this movie. But still, everything I said originally still stands. Great action, it looks great, the music is great, the performances are great, a stellar cast, a Stellan Skarsgård cast. Yeah, so I still gave it 3.5 stars, and that's my thoughts on Dune. Please don't hurt me. Love, Simon. Love, Simon was the next movie that I watched, and I love Simon. I love Simon. I was saying I love Simon, not that I love Simon. But I do love Simon as well. He's a well-written character and amazingly performed. I think what elevates this movie above a lot of other teen dramas, other than the obvious, is the performance of Nick Robinson and his two parents, Josh Duhamel and... what's his mother's name? Jennifer Garner. Yeah, this movie, I really think it's very emotional. I think it's very well done. I think, yes, it's a bit melodramatic, and yes, it does make the LGBT aspects of the movie quite palatable, but this is the first Hollywood movie ever with a gay teenage lead, so you have to walk before you can run. And this movie really means a lot to me, and I really enjoyed it. Also, go check out my Letterboxd review for this movie if you want to know a fun fact about Dean. Okay, that was everything I watched this month. I'm going to try something new now. I'm going to give you one recommendation and one avoid. So if you have to watch one of the movies I watched this month and you have to avoid one of them, obviously avoid X-Men Origins. I'm sure because of the nature of my fan base, a lot of you have already seen it, but don't rewatch it. Don't think about doing that. And my one recommendation, I really want to go with The Last Duel, because it was truly, truly incredible and moving. But alas, no. I will go something which I found fun to watch, something I think is really interesting to show you the history of film, and something which is also just a great murder mystery and a great romantic movie, and that is Rear Window, Alfred Hitchcock's best movie in my opinion. If you haven't seen it, that's my recommendation for this month. It's your homework. Gotta go watch it for November's movie recap. Okay? Okay? That's the deal we made when you watch this video. And the other deal we made is that you have to like, you have to comment, you have to subscribe. Because as you know, I'm posting on YouTube more at the moment. And hopefully on Saturday, maybe Sunday, I will have an Eternals review up just for your personal enjoyment. Just you watching this video now. It's all, I'm making it for you. I don't care about the rest of my viewers. It's all for you. Sorry for being a bit off the walls today. I'm just in one of those moods, you know. There's not a lot that can be done about that. So thank you for watching, and watch Rear Window, and I'll see you next time. Bye.